Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. I'm François Picard. We're at the home of the brand new Trade and Industry Minister, Mounir Fakhry Abdel Nour. Thank you for welcoming us to your home here in central Cairo.
My pleasure.
You were Tourism Minister during the transitional government that followed the fall of Hosni Mubarak. You left politics and now you're back, but you're back under difficult circumstances. Are we going to witness a slow motion car crash where I'm going to go back to Paris now and there's going to be in a few days' time a wire dispatch that says charges pressed against President Morsi, and from then on there'll be a crackdown, there'll be violence, there'll be arrests?
I don't think so. I'm personally extremely optimistic regarding the future. Obviously, it will be bumpy because the economic and political situation and the social situation is very difficult, but I'm optimistic.
What are the signs that make you optimistic? Because we've spoken to a lot of people over the last few days who are very skeptical, and they're very worried that we're going to see, because there has been a cyclical, over the years, periods where there is a big crackdown on the Muslim Brotherhood.
No, come on. I mean, there is a big, there are charges against Muslim brothers who did not abide by the law. It's as simple as that. I mean, if you shoot in the streets people, you are liable. You are accused, and I mean it's quite normal. Law has to be respected in this country, otherwise it will never work.
And you think Mohamed Morsi is personally responsible for the violence in the street?
Well, Muslim brothers are. Personally, Mohamed Morsi, I don't know where he is, I don't know what is his contacts with his people, but Mohamed Morsi is definitely responsible for other major crimes.
Again, you say you're optimistic that things are going to get better, but neither side is blinking for now. And
no, why?
There is this feeling that there isn't much talk going on between those who are in the interim government and those who've been ousted.
It will come. It will come. You know, when reconciliation doesn't come in the midst of a fight. I mean, dust has to settle down and reconciliation will come. I'm optimistic for many, many reasons.
Are there tangible signs to be optimistic?
Absolutely. The support of the Arab countries, the support of major European countries, the major changes that we're witnessing in the position of the USA vis-à-vis the present government. Of course, it leaves a lot of room for optimism.
But that could be seen,
and then more important,
for those who are ousted, it can be what you described. That support can be seen as a humiliation, driving them further underground.
Well, I think they got all the support of the West for the last year and a half. They have been given all the chances and they failed. They failed desperately. But more important than the support of the West and support of the Arab countries is that I think we are on the right track. We learned a lot of lessons from the first transition period between February 2011 until the 30th of June. We made a lot of mistakes, and I think we've learned our lessons, and we should not repeat the same mistakes.
But you'll agree with me that you'll agree with me that it's not the Muslim Brotherhood that invented red tape, bureaucracy, and corruption, and whoever comes next has a big job.
Of course, it is not the Muslim Brothers who invented all this, but they've been unable to correct this, and they made terrible mistakes. Do you want me to mention a few? Naming the governor of Luxor, one of the jihadists who did commit a major crime in Luxor in 1997. This is folly. This is a lack of responsibility. I mean, killing the tourism sector for appointing a nobody as governor of Luxor, one of the capital of tourism in the world.
They made mistakes?
But
it seems as though they were also pushed when we see the gas stations are suddenly reopened.
No, come on. This is
Police are back out on the streets?
Come on, this is absolutely not true. Police back to the streets because they antagonize the police. They absolutely antagonize the police. But you want to give you another example of a crime, not of a mistake. Planting terrorists in Sinai is a crime.
And you blame you think it's the Muslim Brotherhood who's behind it?
Of course, and I don't think it is a fact. Of course. When you have a Qaeda base in Sinai, I think it is a crime. And yes, they are absolutely responsible for that. They got their support from those people. Having this kind of relationship with Hamas is another crime. Look, I mean, they are undefendable. They made horrific mistakes and they lost all confidence and support from the Egyptian people.
Which I guess brings us now to the task that lies ahead for you.
Of course.
And we have seen the new planning minister saying that for the time being, this new interim government doesn't need an IMF loan.
I'm not sure that he said this.
He was quoted as saying by Egyptian media that loan can wait for the time being. The support they're getting from the Gulf state, this sudden influx of 12 billion in pledges, in petrol, in grants, that'll tide them over for the time being.
No, I'm not sure he said that so clearly. He said we can wait and take our time to plan and negotiate with the IMF because we're not pressed in time due to the support, the financial support we're getting from the Arab states.
Isn't it more because the IMF loan, well, it's a little bit more niggly. There's conditions attached. There's having to make unpopular decisions.
Yes, we have to make unpopular decisions at a very difficult time. But again, we realize the importance of this loan. We realize the importance of signing this loan with the IMF because, as you know, it's a recognition of good management of the economy. And we have to get that recognition because it will open to Egypt the financial markets and the support of international and national institutions.
Even if the IMF, when it comes time to sign the piece of paper, tells you, well, you're going to have to now tell the military to ease up on its economic interests, and you're going to have to...
I mean, by the way, this is another fallacy. This is another fallacy that is spreading in the Western media, saying that the economic interests of the military represent 60% or 70% of the Egyptian economy. It is absolutely a fallacy. The economic interest of the military is probably below 10%. Definitely much less than the percentage of the economic interest of military in the US or in any Western countries, any Western country. Look,
we can argue about those numbers.
Yes, we can argue about those numbers, and I can prove them to you.
Subsidies on things like petrol, when
this is another issue. Yeah.
When the coffers of the state are empty.
That is right. This is a very difficult decision to take, but we have to take it. We have, at some point in time, this is a decision that has to be taken. And by the way, since you're opening this issue, I think the biggest mistake that Mr. Mubarak made when he was really managing this country as a dictator, he could have taken those kind of decisions to streamline the subsidy issue, to solve the problem of the Egyptian budget, but he did not have the courage to do it while he was really, I mean, he was acting as a dictator and could have taken it very easily. But any responsible government in Egypt today will have to tackle this problem. It has to be done with tact. It has to be done without putting pressures on the poor. Rich people and well-off people will have to take the social responsibility into consideration and bear the consequences.
Will it mean, for instance, in your sector, streamlining state-owned companies that are not very well run? That's going to be tough, especially if we've seen that
we have to do it.
Right now, we've just seen the precedent has been set with when things aren't going your way, you get a lot of people out in the street and you kick out elected president.
Sure. Well, kick out the elected president if the elected president is unable to talk sensibly to the people. Kick out the elected president if he is so desperately failing. I think we need to have a democratic government, a government that takes into consideration the needs of the people, that is able to communicate his ideas, to listen, to act and react, and this is something Mr. Morsi has been unable to do.
All right, we'll see if it happens in the year to come. I wish you best of luck. I know you've got a lot on your plate. I want to thank you very much again, Mounir Abdel Fakhry, for welcoming us to your home, and we want to thank you for joining us here in the France 24.